and Fury are ready to go. You see the crowds are out there for this, and one of the most anticipated heavyweight rematches that we've seen in a really long time. One of the great nights of boxing is on the way. We'll be live in Vegas with you towards the end of our show this morning because the rematch is finally here. 9 Eastern from the MGM Grand in Vegas, live on pay-per-view and ESPN+. To order the main card, go to espnplus.com/top-rank and be sure to download the ESPN app if you're watching on your mobile device. Back to the NFL. Yesterday, Drew Brees announced that he's returning to the Saints for another season. We talked about that at some length. One of the dominoes that falls as a result is this basically means for certain that unrestricted free agent Teddy Bridgewater will be on the move. He's 27 years old. He was 5-0 as a starter last year when Brees had the thumb injury, and we are expecting him to get a lot of interest on the free agent market. So, Jeff Saturday, what should Teddy Bridgewater be doing right now?
He needs to call his agent. His agent needs to call Chris Ballard, who's the Indianapolis Colts general manager, and sign with the Indianapolis Colts. What a great fit for this young kid. Top 3 in the league in pass protection. You're going to play in a dome or in some indoor or Jacksonville. So 10 of your games are going to be really good weather. From the defensive perspective in the AFC South, he can compete. He's more accurate right now than Jacoby Brissett. So from this guy's perspective, call the Colts, get the deal done. No-brainer, in my opinion. And again, that's not being a homer. That's a great fit. And you have a shot to win the Super Bowl now. Next year, you got a shot to win the Super Bowl if you do your part.
Jeff, you have your agent calling. You just have the wrong zip code. You're calling Tampa Bay. You're going to call him Tampa Bay.
No Super Bowl. No.
In tax-free Florida. And let me, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater in 34 of he has started 34 games. 29 of the 34, he's either won or lost by 1 possession. It's really a remarkable statistic how consistent he's been. Tampa Bay's defense was very underrated, top 10 in the second half of the season. You pair a productive Teddy Bridgewater with an emerging defense in Tampa Bay, they could compete for the playoffs in 2020.
I got to address something, Jeff, because I got one question.
Yep.
When did a healthy Jacoby Brissett become bad? Because the problem is we're prisoners of the moment. Let me take y'all back to Jacoby Brissett early on in the season before he tore up his knee. Again, against it was the Denver Broncos, I believe, scrambling. Game on the line. Jacoby Brissett put the team on his back. 1 possession game and makes one of the best quarterback plays of the season. When Jacoby Brissett was healthy, the Colts were 5-2. Greeny, when Jacoby Brissett was healthy, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, second best record in the AFC. So everybody's locked in this Teddy Bridgewater infatuation because of what he did in 5 games. Jacoby Brissett's a nice dude now. He's a nice dude.
I think there is some question about just how good both of those players are, or either of those players are. Just how good is Brissett in the right circumstances? Just how good
They're equal.
is Teddy Bridgewater?
They're equal. Bridgewater has 34 starts. It was more than 5 starts. He's been an effective
In the Saints. 5 starts with the Saints.
That's correct, but 34 starts is a lot of starts in pro football.
The most touchdowns he's ever thrown in one season is 14.
I also think it's his advantage being under Sean Payton for another year, what it's done for his maturation process. Now bringing what he's bringing. Again, Jacoby with Tom Brady, the Patriots. I get it from my perspective. What Teddy Bridgewater brings to you is the accuracy, the completion percentage, and that type of leadership that comes into the locker room from that perspective. Not just in the locker room, good guy, but that perspective, I think, takes the Colts to the next level.
I just think you're taking one quarterback for the same quarterback with the different first name and the last
Jacoby
name.
Is the same as Bridgewater?
I think they affect the team the same. Yeah, 22 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions.
I think Teddy Bridgewater is an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett, and that's no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett. He played good
until he got hurt.
Season.
Yeah, when he got hurt, it was bad.
Not acceptable. Good, but I think Bridgewater would take them to the next level.
I want to talk about another team. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because they need receiver help, and their first crack at that will come during NFL free agency, which is basically a month away. And one player they could pursue is Amari Cooper, who would provide an enormous lift to one of the league's worst units. The Eagles' receiving corps struggled across the board. Last year, they were second to last in the NFL in both total receiving yards and yards per reception. And Amari Cooper had 8 touchdowns last year. Alshon Jeffrey led the Eagles receivers with 4. Now, the bottom line of it is the Eagles had unimaginable injury problems at the receiving position, in that core. But Mike T, what would it mean for the Eagles if they got Amari Cooper?
There is nothing that rips your heart out more when you're running a team than when you see one of your best players leave your team and go within the same division. And Greeny, as a Jet fan, we've seen that a number of times
Yes,
over the years.
yes. I'm still recovering from that. Don't sidetrack me. You're saying for the Eagles to do that and take him away from the Dallas Cowboys would be a lethal 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it rips your heart out. And when you look at the production that Dallas has had since they made the trade, they led the NFL in third down conversions. Amari Cooper was much more productive than people realize.
Yeah.
And now you weaken an opponent, and now you have what you have outside and Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Nelson Aguilar is going to be a free agent, and you put Amari Cooper. You're strengthening the Philadelphia Eagles and you're weakening the Cowboys. That is a great move for the Eagles.
I threw on these different shades of green today, Greeny, because colorblind or not, I'm going to be wearing Eagles green to somebody. And think about this. If you get Amari Cooper, a young star receiver, Carson Wentz goes from above average, great at times, to great all the time. Carson Wentz, he won 6 games with his receivers with 75 yards or less.
Right.
Since Cooper got to the Cowboys, Dak Prescott is the best quarterback when it comes to passing yards in the entire football league. So Wentz, who is elite at times, you give him Amari Cooper, Sharpie the Eagles into the playoffs. Not pen, not pencil.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, since he's in the Cowboys, top 5 receiver in receiving touchdowns as well. What you're saying is, Cowboys, do not lose this guy.
Yeah.
Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, whatever Jones is calling the shot, sign that kid. Like, that would be the dumbest thing you could do, is allow your best receiver, who you already gave a first-round pick a couple years ago, to get him in the building. He's produced in the building, and you got to go pay Dak Prescott to make. All of a sudden, you're going to strip him of his guys and go make him look better. There's no way you let this happen.
I have to ask a question, because I get the Prescott part of it. I totally agree with you on. With Amari Cooper, are you going to pay him the way the Michael Thomases of the world get paid, the way the Julio Joneses of the world get paid? Because we talk about paying good players great player money. Is he an elite receiver? I understand that he's the best they have, but is he a truly elite NFL wide receiver?
So, Greeny, here's what I would answer that. 6 months ago, no, I would have tried paying him very good money. They, to Jeff's point, have put themselves in a terrible position.
Right.
They gave up a first-round pick. Now they have to pay him great money, because you don't want to have no first-round pick and have no player.
You ain't got a choice. Having Amari Cooper without Dak Prescott without Amari Cooper, it's like peanut butter without jelly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not as good.
You did this deal when you gave up the first-round pick.
It's true.
This deal had to be done because of that.
That I agree with.
Right. The best time to do the extension is the day you make the trade.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so we'll see what winds up happening there, but you want to talk about what would be a lethal punch from the Eagles to the Cowboys if they wind up bringing Amari Cooper there. More football as we go. But I want to bring Jay Will back. I have a few questions about college basketball. Jay, let's start by talking about the games from last night. Kentucky able to take down LSU on the road. Just how good is Kentucky this year?
I think Kentucky has a legitimate chance to win a national championship. Now, look, they have a couple of bad losses that will be stains on their resume. Utah, Evansville, but a win at LSU was a big win for this team. Their guards are playing exceptionally well. Ashton Higgins, Emmanuel Quickly, and Tyrese Maxey.
We're used to talking about Kentucky. We don't usually talk that much about Dayton, but they're great. They won their 15th straight last night. Are they a legit threat in March?
They are. A lot of legit threats. In March. Obi Toppin is a name that everybody needs to become more familiarized with. This kid is going to be a top 5 NBA pick in the draft. His roommate, Jalen Crutcher, was a guy that left Memphis, came here, overlooked, now turning into a star as well for Anthony Grant's team.
And Baylor is the #1 team in the country. They're 24-1. They beat Oklahoma. Is this the best team in America?
Baylor is. The way they defend, the way they get after you defensively and offensively. And we got to start talking about Scott Drew's name in the Hall of Fame for college basketball. What he's been able to do over the 17 years at this program have been phenomenal.
All right, so this is the top 5 teams in America. And I wanted to put this up there to just show you what a strange season it has been. Baylor had been ranked #1 for just a single week in their history. They've now been there 5 straight weeks. Dayton is ranked in the top 5 for the first time since 1956. These are not the usual suspects in college basketball. And so the question that I have, in what feels like a down year in overall national interest for the sport, is this just a blip? Is this a hangover from what was the extraordinary attention that Zion got last year and all of that? Or is this a new normal in college basketball with players going overseas and an increasing G League and questions about paying guys? Is this what college basketball is turning into?
It's trending towards the latter, Greeny, with the optionality of all the different routes that people could take to become a pro. And here's the thing, if you're a Zion Williamson or if you're a kid in high school right now, you have 1.5 million people that follow you on IG, and you're essentially a star. And you see the optionality of, do I want to go overseas and make money? Do I want to go to the G League that the NBA is investing more in? Or do I want to get the visibility of college basketball? You can still do that, but the optionality is making it more intriguing. And you are seeing a lot of teams that are older, the teams that are in these top 5 categories, that are having a better chance of winning it all.
I mean, it really does make one wonder if this is. Well, you could look at it 2 ways. One way you could look at it is this is devastating for college basketball because the overall attention in it, I think, would be greatly diminished. Or you can say this is actually what they seem to want to be in the first place. They are doing everything they can to push away the people who have some ability to be stars on their own. So this is sort of the logical next step from that.
Name, image, and likeness is going to be a huge thing as all these different states go through the process. And also, Greeny, like, think about this. When there's such an array of content out there, there's so many things to watch when you're at home. What do you like watching? You like watching star power.
Sure.
I want to see star power. So if that was Zion last year, if that was Trae Young last year, the NCAA needs to find a way to keep the top collegiate players in college for even a year because it increases and spikes the ratings. Look how much we're talking about college basketball this year, not as much as we have the last 2 years.
I can't remember the last time that we talked less about college basketball during the season than we have. I believe that when we get to March Madness,
of course,
people will pay attention to that, right? They'll still fill out their bracket sheet and then still be into it. But I think that this is the day of reckoning has come for college basketball as we have long known it. I'd like to see which direction they decide to go. Meanwhile, we have a lot of directions to take as we continue this morning on Get Up. Still to come, Drew Brees is coming back. Let the musical chairs for quarterbacks begin. The impact of his return and the rest of the NFL is coming up. Get Up on ESPN.